All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Judge Jesse Lal, and we are going to commence with our Fulton State Expedited Accusation Calendar. This is a calendar in which individuals were recently charged and arrested with one or more misdemeanor offenses. Upon being booked at the Fulton County Jail, the cases have already been formally accused by the Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County, who is the prosecutor of these cases. Therefore, this would be the defendant's initial appearance before a state court judicial officer, at which time the defendant will be informed of their formal accusation number, the charges brought against the defendant, to appoint counsel, as well as to set a bond. In certain cases, a new court date will also be provided for the particular case. Ms. Bridgewater, can you confirm, please, what would be the next court date for SAP?
September the 6th.
Okay. Guess the same as yesterday. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Okay, we're going to begin with courtroom 2. Courtroom 2. I see that quite a few people there. Okay, I'm just going to make this blanket announcement. I am going to be addressing everyone's cases on a one-on-one basis. So when we address your case, and if you are the individual charged with a misdemeanor offense or more, please remember that you have, excuse me, you have a right to remain silent about the facts of your case. Anything you say during the course of this virtual recorded proceeding, your statements can and will be used against you in the treatment of your case. You have a right to an attorney. If you cannot afford one, one will be appointed to represent you. Who do we have up?
Yeah, position number 6, Ms. Escobar. Esabu.
All right, thank you. All right, I have Destiny Esagbi, accused of simple battery, domestic violence. I'm sorry.
Your Honor, the
Am
state's.
I getting some feedback?
Yes, I heard some feedback, Your Honor.
All right, let me just start again. Mrs. Sogby's case number is going to be 22 CR 005658J. She's accused of simple battery, domestic violence from August 22nd, 2022. Ms. Sogby, you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Your attorney is going to be, is it Mr. Charles? Mr. Charles, are you counsel? Mr. Ford?
Yes, I am. Your
All
Honor.
right, good to see you, sir.
Good to see
Okay.
you as well.
All right, sir, your attorney, all right, Mrs. Sugby, your attorney is Mr. Charles Ford. And Mr. Tucson, any priors, please?
She's 8. No, I got first arrest. She's
All right.
18, so she'll need a cosign.
All right.
Or
And Ms. Tortorello, the state, the pretrial is recommending a cosigner. What does the state say?
Again, Your Honor, I would request a breakout based on the facts of the case, and her mother, Miss Julie Ross, is on the line on the Zoom hearing, Your Honor. She would like to speak. She's the victim in this case.
All right, we're going to do a quick breakout. Or is it Miss Lewis today or April?
It's Miss Champion.
Oh, Miss Champion. Okay, could you please place Miss Tortorello, Julie Ross, myself, and Mr. Ford in a breakout room, please?
Miss Kim is asked to be in as well.
Get in as well.
Oh, Miss Kim as well. Okay.
Yes, thank
And
you.
Your Honor, Mr. Walker, my supervisor's here, if you could include him as well.
All right, Mr. Walker. Trying to see why we don't see him.
I'm here standing in for Miss Shelley Falk, supervising ASG Anna Allen, and I'm available.
All right. let's
Good afternoon.
please, good afternoon, Miss Allen, in the breakout, please. Thank you. All right, is Mr. Ford back as well? There he is, okay. All right, we're going to resume our case with position number 6 with Ms. Isogbu. Due to the sidebar conference in which several sensitive matters were addressed, the court is entering the following order. Mr. Isogbu, you're going to be issued a $2,500 surety bond. That's a bond which you would have to pay in order to be released from jail. Your next court date is going to be September 6th. You are to have no further violent contact with Julie Ross. And you are to be compliant with all treatment and medication as prescribed for any conditions that you may have. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, no weapons, and no firearms. Next court date is September 6th. Thank you.
What was that amount?
2,500. All right, next case, please.
Number 4, Ms. Clevenger. You cannot open the door.
I think I heard Clevenger, Casey Michelle Clevenger. Is that correct?
Yes,
That's
ma'am.
correct.
All right,
That's
Ms.
correct, Your
Clevenger,
Honor.
you've been accused of hit and run, failure of the driver to stop at the scene of the accident, and improper erratic lane change in case number 22 CR 005-653C. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Charles Ford. Any priors, please, Mr. Tucson?
Third arrest. Last was 2021 suspended license. It was amended to no license on person,
Okay,
and a 2011 suspended license. No look.
all right, thank you. Ms. Tortorella?
Yes, Your Honor.
So briefly, I've read the warrant. I just need the state's recommendation.
Yes, Your Honor, just for the record, I have to just state the important facts about the matter, Your
Mhm.
Honor. For the hit and run is a $2,000 surety bond. For the erratic lane change, a $500 surety. That's a total of a $2,500 surety bond. No contact with the victim in this case. Her name is Jeanette Neely, Nealy is the last name. Janet, I apologize, traditional spelling for the first name.
Mhm.
A defensive driving course, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons, and no new violations of Georgia law. Your Honor, this case occurred on March 5th, 2022. The defendant, Casey Clevenger, was operating a 2018 Dodge Journey, silver in color. She failed to maintain the lane while traveling. She merged to the left and struck the front right side of a 2019 Volkswagen Atlas, gray in color, operated by the victim, Janet Neely. She did not stop, and she continued to drive off. Ms. Neely was able to obtain the license plate information and identify the defendant through a photo lineup, and she was eventually arrested, Your Honor, and these events occurred in Fulton County, Georgia. Your Honor, though she has 3 cycles, she has an extensive driving history. Goes all the way back to 2002, where she has several bond forfeitures and FTAs on the driver's history. The most recent is July 31st, 2021, failure to appear to trial in Trutland State Court. Some of her convictions, September 15th, 2021 for speeding out of Hinesville Municipal Court. That's in her driver's history. 2020, no insurance. That was a no-low plea out of Forsyth Municipal Court. And a February 9th, 2012 speeding out of Monroe Probate Court. And Your Honor, just given her driver's history, we are asking for that $2,500 surety bond with the conditions, nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, we're recommending a signature bond in this matter, asking for a signature bond in this matter. We're talking about civil infractions, driving offenses, Your Honor. My client has no history of violence. She's a lifetime resident of Georgia. She has community support. She lives with her parents. I have telephone numbers for both. I also have a stable address, to stable telephone number, and email address for Ms. Clevenger. In this case, Your Honor, you asked about cycles. There were 3. One was a NOLO, one was a first-time offender, I think, or No, it was reduced to a no license on person, once again, a civil infraction, Your Honor. This is a case where this person is not a harm to society at this point, Your Honor, and we feel that a signature bond at this time that we are asking for. And she also has a really stable job with the Central Georgian Pulmonology lab, and she's been working there for a number of years. And she has 4 children, Your Honor, that she is actually supporting and the sole caregiver, ranging from ages of 2 to 18 years of age. So, Your Honor, we're asking that and she's being recommended for unsecured judicial release. So we're asking for a security bond at this time.
All right, thank you. On the hit and run, that's going to be $1,000 surety. On the erratic lane change, that's a 500 signature bond through the jail. No driving unless she has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration for the vehicle. Next court date is going to be September 6th. If she bonds out, make sure that we have Miss Clevenger, you have to make sure that the court has your current mailing address so we can send you notice of your next court date. Otherwise, we will see you on September 6th. So that's a $1,500 split bond. Thank you.
Ms. Salem?
You said 14?
1,500. Oh, position 13, excuse me.
What number?
14.
This is Zena Salem, excuse me, accused of willful obstruction of an officer from August 23rd, 2022. Ms. Salem, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Your case number is 22 CR 005-651Y. And Mr. Tucson, any priors?
Second arrest, November 2021, shoplifting out of Union City.
Disposition?
There's not one.
All right, thank you. Miss Backus. Okay, there we go. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Judge.
Afternoon.
For this case, Your Honor, the defendant was originally cited and charged for obstruction and the marijuana charge less than an ounce. The state has NOD the marijuana charge, and we did copy the court and the judge and the jail on it. So hopefully you all have that. As for the obstruction charge, we're asking for $1,000 surety bond to stay away from the incident location, which is 2991 Kentucky Court, Unit 8, and a one-time police escort for the defendant if she needs to go back to that location to retrieve anything. This incident happened yesterday. 2 marshals were executing an eviction at the incident location. Upon arrival, they knocked at the front door, announcing that they were the Fulton County Marshal's Department. They didn't get a reply, so they went to the back door. They also got no reply after several attempts. A female later identified as the defendant said that she was not going to come outside because she thought she was going to be arrested, to which the officers told her to the contrary, that if she didn't exit, that's how she would be arrested. After numerous commands and unsuccessful attempts, the officers had to forcefully enter the apartment. And she still continued to refuse to exit. So eventually she did surrender. And after she told that she would be tased if she did not comply. Your Honor, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I've actually read all that part. So do we know if she was a resident of that unit that was subject to a dispossessory?
Yes. I believe she was, Your Honor.
Okay. And all right. So what's a bond recommendation, Ms. Backus?
The bond recommendation is a $1,000 surety bond and stay away from the incident location with a one-time police escort.
Because I had a different address on her Odyssey, so I got a little confused. Okay. So 2991 Kentucky Court. All right.
Unit 8.
Unit 8. All right.
Yes.
Well, do you I don't remember if the warrant told me what was. I'm sorry, I'm trying to remember all the warrants in these cases, but Okay, I'm just gonna do the entire apartment complex
Okay.
at the Kentucky Court, 2991 Kentucky Court. This was in Atlanta. Okay. Miss Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Salem is 25 years old and she was getting evicted. And the new address at Odyssey is actually her brother's address.
Okay, I
She's
see.
gonna have to stay there temporarily since she is evicted. Our only concern is that she was trying to pack up, and right now all her stuffs are outside of the apartment, and she's very afraid that she's gonna lose all the stuff. So
Mhm.
she needs to go back there with a law enforcement officer to retrieve her personal belongings after the eviction process.
I agree. It's going to be $1,000 signature bond through the jail.
Thank you.
And she needs to stay away from the entire apartment complex at 2991 Kentucky Court in Atlanta, Georgia. She can return one time only with a police officer to collect, hopefully, her belongings that unfortunately, through a dispossessory process, is normally left on the curb. So, and then after that, she cannot return to the property. She's only allowed a one-time visit. If she goes back to the property, she will be arrested for at least for a charge of criminal trespass and God knows what else. Her next court date will be sent to her brother's address that's provided on Odyssey. If
Yes.
she changes her address, she needs to let us know by coming down to the courthouse and updating it in writing. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, we got number 7, Ms. Henderson.
All right. This is Deja Henderson, accused of battery, domestic violence in case number 22 CR 005-660C. Ms. Henderson, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Charles Ford. Any priors, Mr. Tucson?
Second arrest.
Hmm?
2019 misdemeanor possession of marijuana. That's it.
All right. Ms. Tortorella, let me just pull up the warrant just to make sure I just need to refresh my memory after reading all of them this afternoon. Okay.
Okay, Your Honor.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah, what's the bond recommendation? This is involving Scott, right? Female, Michaela.
Yes.
Scott. Mhm.
It's for the battery family violence, Your Honor, is a $4,500 surety bond.
Mhm.
The condition is no contact with the victim, Michaela Scott, who is on the Zoom hearing right now. It's Makayla Scott, traditional spelling, to stay away from 532 Cleveland Avenue Southwest, apartment number 146 in Atlanta. 1-day anger management, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons, and no new violations of Georgia law. Your Honor, this occurred, it seems today, Your Honor, earlier today, the Atlanta Police Department was dispatched to the incident location. The victim, Ms. Scott, called 911 and stated that her ex-girlfriend punched her in the eye. Dispatch had put in their remarks that they could hear yelling in the background. When an officer arrived, he did notice a mark on Ms. Scott's eye. Ms. Scott stated that they were involved in an argument which turned physical. It was involving a joke that she made to the defendant, and
Yes, a joke that went wrong. Does that bring back
Correct.
memories of a famous joke that went wrong? Yes, I assume so. Okay.
So, Your Honor, in regards to the surety bond, this is a domestic violence. Yes, the defendant has 2 cycles. We are concerned about intimidation of the witness and victim here, as they do live together. There hasn't been enough of a cooling off period, as it just happened earlier today. So we are really asking for no contact, Your Honor. Nothing
Okay.
further.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client's 21 years of age. She has a high school diploma, also has graduated from the Georgia Job Corps. She's a lifetime resident, so she's not at risk of flight, Your Honor. She has tremendous support here in the community. I have 2 telephone numbers of individuals who to contact. She has a stable address, Your Honor. We think there should be no further violent contact in this matter due to the fact that my client does not have a history of any type of violent behavior. She works at the Kentucky Fried Chicken in East Point as a shift manager, Your Honor, so she has stable employment. This is a case, Your Honor, where we are asking for a signature bond due to the fact that there's no history of violence in my client's record. I believe her and the complaining witness will be able to stay amicably at the address. So we're asking for no further violent contact as well.
All right, thank you.
Speak, please.
I heard someone,
Michaela Scott.
and you need to start your video.
I'm sorry. With the push to start video button at the bottom.
Yeah, try that. There we go. All right, Ms.
Yes,
Scott,
ma'am.
did you want to contribute to the proceeding?
No, ma'am.
All right, then if you can mute your screen again, we can proceed.
Is there any?
Can you wait a minute? Can you explain that? What you mean proceeding? As a proceeding with charges?
Ms. Scott, do you have anything to say about this case?
Yes, ma'am. I ain't want her to
Please
get
raise
locked
your
up.
right hand.
I'm sorry.
The other right
It's my
hand.
left. I'm sorry.
Do you solemnly swear and affirm the testimony you provide will be the truth to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, 2 questions. Are you comfortable with Deja Henderson being home, and would you like to have contact with her?
Yes, that's my girlfriend, and we gotta pay rent together.
Okay, that answers a whole different question, but anything else to add?
No, ma'am. I just need her home. That's it.
Mr. Ford, anything else to add?
Your Honor, can I ask a question
You
of
may.
Ms. Scott?
Yes, sir.
Ms. Scott, my question is, I'm asking for no further violent contact. Are you in fear of Ms. Henderson?
Oh, little old Deja, no.
No further questions.
Your Honor, the state would like to ask a question on direct.
I'm sorry, we're getting a lot of feedback. So you have a question for Ms. Scott?
Yes.
Go ahead.
Ms. Scott, how are you?
I asked who's speaking because I can't see you.
I'm right here.
What's right here? I can't see.
ASG Tortorello.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Go ahead and ask the question, please, because she might be on a device where she has to scroll to find the Zoom panel.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Scott, did the defendant, Ms. Henderson, strike you?
Your Honor, I object to that question. That goes to total facts, and that's for the trier of fact. This is a bond hearing.
Your Honor, and I object to defense. This actually goes to the Ayala factors of intimidation of witness.
I agree with the defense that issue of whether the victim was struck has already been established by probable cause. We have probable cause that it's more likely than not that a violent altercation occurred. Now, whether that altercation will be proved. Ms. Scott, please mute your screen. Your phone is really off. Thank you. All right. So the fact of whether this altercation did take place beyond a reasonable doubt, that's a matter to be addressed later.
And I understand, Your Honor, and I object again. We do need to state some facts on the record, Your Honor. But in
Ms. Tortorello, the facts are already on the warrant. The warrant's already in the record. I just want to get through this calendar without having the entire warrant being in a complete recitation again. All right?
I understand, Your Honor.
So
I'm just
good.
stating-
So let's stick to the issues that I have to address. And the issue I have to address is if you have any questions on Ms. Scott that don't go to the final issue for the trial of fact, I will allow it. So do you have another question?
No, Your Honor. Only to, I would like to state to the court that she does have swelling on her eye.
I don't know if that's a swelling or a tattoo, but I can't really tell from Zoom. So I'm just going to leave it at that.
Because I'm light skinned.
Ms. Scott, Ms. Judge.
Yes, ma'am.
Mute your screen. Thank you. All right. Ms. Tortorello, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor.
All right. Mr. Ford, anything else?
Nothing else, Your Honor.
All right. This is a domestic violence case, and whether it's a bad joke or a good joke, I do not know. But the point that we have right now is that a violent altercation occurred to the point that the police had to get involved. And yes, she may be little Deja, and she may be the loved one, and she may be necessary to pay rent. But that doesn't mitigate the fact that this is a case allegedly involving a violent altercation, and it is domestic violence. So I'm going to grant a bond, but Ms. Henderson will have to comply with the bond. And if she doesn't comply, the only person coming back to jail will be Deja Henderson. The bond is going to be set at $2,500. It's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. She will not have to pay for the bond, but she will have to comply with the conditions. The conditions are no contact with Michaela Scott until further order of the court. She may return to the property at Cleveland Avenue one time only with a police officer to retrieve her personal belongings. And then within 30 days of being released, she must update the court with her new address. If she returns to live with Ms. Scott and another altercation or another situation occurs that involves the police, the only person coming back to jail will be Deja Henderson, and her signature bond will be revoked. She must report to pretrial once a month. She will undergo a one-day anger awareness program. And after her one-time visit with an officer, she must stay away from 532 Cleveland Avenue. Next court date is going to be set to her new address, which she will need to update with the court. Thank you.
Ms.
Next
Jussie-
case, please.
Ms. Jussie Law, I don't live here. I live at 6320 Peppermill Lane, College Park, 30349.
All right, thank you for letting us know that, but you just indicated that you need her back to share rent.
Yes, so she can be at home. I don't resign here. I resign at my mom's house, 6320 Peppermill Lane, 30349.
All right.
My
and
second address is 7340 Alden Ridge Road.
All right, Ms. Scott, thank you for that information. Ms. Tortorello, are you comfortable with that information? Ms. Scott, please mute your screen. Your phone is just, okay, thank you. Ms. Tortorello?
No, Your Honor, the warrant states something different, as you know.
All right, so I'm going to amend it that Ms. Henderson may visit the property one time only with the officer. If it is verified by the officer that Ms. Scott does not live there, then Ms. Henderson may return to the property. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Scott, we are done. You're free to go.
Yes, we have number 20, Mr. Wingo.
Did you say 20?
Yes.
Mr. Eric Wingo is accused of simple battery from 22 CR 005-665G, May 22nd, 2021. Mr. Wingo, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. McLeod. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
Yes. 32 total.
All right.
33 actually. Last
When
arrest was
this-
in 2019 FTA for theft by receiving.
All right.
He went to felony earlier and got no bond. He got FTAs and probation violations in his history.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Duncan, yes. Ms. Duncan, what do you recommend for a bond with regards to and the conditions with regards to Mr. Wingo?
Yes, Your Honor. There's already a preset bond on this case of $5,000 surety. The state is going to be requesting that remain in set because in addition to what pretrial stated, just to clarify, there are 11 FTAs in the last 10 years and at least 4 probation violation arrests and probation revocations. There's a simple battery conviction from 2016. And this morning he went to felony over an aggravated battery and received no bond and is currently out on a $43,000 straight bond in case 19 SC 9115. In this case, Your Honor, it is alleged to have occurred on May 22nd, 2021 at the incident location of 1436 land. Let me zoom in so I can see.
I've read the numerous documents that have all been filed,
Yes.
so he's got everything listed in there.
Correct.
What would y'all, okay, so the $5,000 bond, no
Yes.
contact with,
I understand, Your Honor. I
Essence
just
Brown?
state these for the record, if I may.
It's already in the record. I'm not gonna keep repeating myself. The warrants already speaks for itself. So y'all are asking for $5,000 bond, his criminal record history. Is there anything about the warrant that you believe would support a claim for $5,000 straight bond?
Yes, we believe he has a risk of reoffending given his criminal history, and we have a concern because in the case that he received no bond for this morning, he punched someone in the face. In this case, he's accused of punching someone in the face. We have a concern that he's a flight risk given numerous FTAs in the history, and we have a concern about this defendant's likelihood to respond to the legal process, given that there are several probation violations and probation revocations in this defendant's history. Given all those facts and the other factors present, given the circumstances in this case, we feel that that $5,000 surety bond is more than reasonable, given that this defendant was already out on a $43,000 straight bond. Nothing further from the state. Oh, our
Excellent.
conditions, my apologies, are no further contact with the victim in this case.
Essence Brown?
Essence Brown, common spelling for both. A 6-week anger management, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right, perfect. Thank you. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 31 years old. He is a native of Atlanta. He tells me that he has a 10-month-old son for whom he is the sole caretaker at this moment. The child is actually staying, I believe, with his sister just because he is arrested. He's very concerned about the well-being of his young son because he is the primary caretaker, in fact, the sole caretaker of this 10-month-old child. My client denies the allegations that are in the warrant, Your Honor. And I would just like to point out to the court that this incident allegedly took place more than a year ago. This person is not someone to whom he is related in any way. They did not have a relationship. They just knew each other casually. And my client tells me that they actually attacked him. It was 3 people, and he was attacked, and he was simply defending himself. He was not the primary aggressor in this matter. He does not.
Yeah, I read that part also. This is part of an ongoing investigation, and there are a lot of moving parts in that warrant. So I'm familiar with those claims.
Right, Your Honor. So
right.
I'm saying this to say that given the facts and circumstances as alleged, I would ask the court to give my client a much lower bond. He's not in a position to post a bond right now because he will be, if he's locked up, he's going to lose the 2 jobs that he currently has. So he tells me he works at the airport, and he also works doing home improvement.
So he's already in a no bond status from a felony first appearance, right?
I understand.
Right. So he's.
I just became aware of that, Your Honor.
Right. Okay. Bond's going to be set at 2,500. It is a surety bond. He doesn't qualify for a signature bond, just due to his numerous prior arrests.
I understand, Your Honor.
And his FTAs and so forth. His next court date is going to be September 6th. No further contact with Essence Brown, and to stay away from 1436 Landvale Drive in Southwest Atlanta. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons.
Your Honor, if I may, I don't believe Ms. Brown was at that address. I believe it was a party. I don't think she lives there.
And he doesn't live there either, Your Honor. So there's no need for stay away from anyone because he does not live there.
Well, it still appears to be some kind of a crime scene, so I'm going to have him stay away from that location altogether. And then, of course, with regards to Ms. Brown, he has to stay away from wherever she happens to be located, home, place, bus stop, train, whatever. Okay. Next case, please.
Number 1, Mr. Alfred.
Your Honor, while they're bringing them up, the state has an announcement to make.
Okay, go ahead.
Zaffron Long, it's a case that was an add-on to our calendar.
Okay,
The Hateville Police Department has taken out an additional felony warrant today on felony theft by taking, as well as possession of a firearm by a person under the age of 18, which was a warrant that was dismissed this morning at felony first appearance. We are in touch with felony first appearance to have that case heard before Judge Frazier in the next, hopefully 20 or 30 minutes. And I will also email the court those warrants so that you have them, that the judge just signed here in Hateville.
okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you, Your Honor.
All right, position that's Francie Amy, is that correct?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is number 2, Mr. Alfred.
Oh, okay.
I'm sorry.
Christopher Alford, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Mr. Alford, your case number is 22 CR 005652E. You've been accused of 2 counts of misdemeanor terroristic threats from August 20th, 2022. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Ford. Is that correct? Kim. Okay.
My attorney can show up today. I spoke with her, is Brian Steele.
Who is your attorney?
Brian Steele.
Brian
Your Honor,
Steele.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
gonna say, Your Honor, I was informed that he had a private attorney.
All right. Let me just check on something. Well, Mr. Steele I don't know whether he's been informed or whether he's not been given a Zoom link or whether he called for a Zoom link. But while we're looking, Mr. Tucson, first of all, Mr. Alford, you've already been advised of your right to remain silent. So please exercise your right to remain silent. And let me see, Christopher Alford has been booked in the jail.
Honor, he spoke to his attorney, Mr. Brian Stir earlier. I think he just probably needs the link to be emailed to him.
All right, we can hold off until Mr. Miss Champion, has Brian Steele tried to reach out to the clerk's office?
Not that I'm aware of, Your Honor, no.
All right. I don't know what to tell you, Mr. Alford. Your attorney has not reached out to the clerk's office to get a Zoom link. We can hold up your case until the very end, and if he shows up, great. If not, I can reset the case for tomorrow, or we can proceed right now.
When I spoke, we can proceed. When I spoke to him earlier, my attorney, a very busy man, had time to step in for I missed him in the court. I spoke with him earlier. He told me to go on ahead to court and get much information I can get on what's going on.
Is he planning to attend?
No, I don't think so.
All right, that's fine then. Okay, you are going to remain silent, and we are, if you're telling me that your attorney is not attending, would you like this? I don't know, does the public defender's office can't represent you since you have already got private counsel. So please remain silent. Mr. Tucson, go ahead.
I mean, he's been in since 2021.
Mm-hmm.
You see the case? You see the charges?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
All right, Ms. Tortorella, this appears to be a on-premises issue. What's your bond recommendation?
Yes, Your Honor, for the terroristic threats, a $2,000 cash bond for both counts, so it'd be a total of $4,000 cash bond. No contact with the victims, Deputy R. Peterson and Detention Officer B. Unitas. No drugs or alcohol, no weapons, no new violations of Georgia law, and a 1-day anger management. Your Honors, you've read the warrant. This happened in jail. The deputy was conducting head count and noticed that the inmate, Christopher Alford, was housed on a boat bed with no document for the movement that the officer could track for this change. The officer had articulable reasonable suspicion that the defendant has a gang affiliation in the zone and has, quote, robotic control over inmates to move as servants to him. When they actually moved the defendant did make the threat, as stated in the warrant, that he was going to do something to both the deputy and the detention officer, and that they received this as a threat.
Okay.
Your Honor, to add, he has an open case and he's being held without bond, 21 SC 178250.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that case, so we're not going to get into that one. Okay.
Yes. So for that reason, Your Honor, as you know, his background, as far as convictions, in August 4th, 2020, he pled to robbery under the First Offender Act. It was sealed in Fulton County Superior Court.
Do you know of any cases in which have involved situations while he's been detained?
No, Your Honor, I do not.
And let's see. All right, I'm just honestly, I try to remember all this, but I love this phrase, robotic control. That's a new one for me. Okay. Yes, sort of self-inflated, egotistical statements also being made in there. Okay, all right. So $5,000 cash bond total, correct?
4,000, Your Honor.
4,000, excuse me, 2 and 2. Okay. And so right now I'm going to grant a bond for $2,000 on each count. That's going to be a surety bond. It's going to be no further violent contact with deputies Peterson and Unita, and no violent contact, no violent altercations, involvement with any of the staff and employees at the Fulton County Jail. And your next court date will be September 6th to address this particular matter. And hopefully Mr. Steele will get notice to appear via Zoom on September 6th at 9 a.m. Thank you.
Number 10, Mr. Milam. I'm sorry, Mr. Malum. How you doing, John?
Mr. Malum.
How you doing?
Fine, thank you. All right, a lot of pages. Okay. Is it Brendan Milam? M-I-L-A-M?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, 22 CR 005656E. Mr. Milam, you've been accused of battery domestic violence from January 14th of 2021. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney will be Mr. Ford. Mr. Tucson? I'm sorry, Mr. Tucson, you're on mute.
Oh, 7 total. Last arrest was 2020 ag assault. It's 20 CP 190987. 2016 FTA battery DV and trespass escape. 2015 simple assault family violence that was dismissed. 2014 ag battery arrest. 2011 burglary was amended to trespass. He went to felony earlier, got no bond.
Thank you. Miss Backus, so.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
For the battery family violence, we are asking for a $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Kaylesia Wilson, stay away from the incident location of 183 Mount Zion Road Southeast, apartment 4206, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and also 1-day anger awareness. This incident occurred, I believe, on January 4, 2021. An officer was dispatched to that incident location in reference to a domestic dispute. When he got there, the officer spoke with Ms. Wilson, who said that her live-in boyfriend, the defendant, they got into a verbal dispute that escalated into a physical dispute after she told him to leave. She told the officer that once she told him to leave, he began throwing and breaking items throughout the house, and he struck her in the face, causing her nose to bleed. She did admit that she picked up a piece of glassware and threw it towards him to defend herself, and it struck him in the neck, at which point The defendant took her cell phone and left the scene. Your Honor, based on the 2020, the 3 counts of ag assault and the felony that pretrial just mentioned that has ag assault, a firearm, and criminal attempt to commit a felony, which I believe the police report said that.
Yeah, we're not going to sound
Got
out any of
So
those.
that's fine. So
Okay.
based on that and the risk of reoffense, the state feels as though the recommendation is more than appropriate, nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client's 29 years old, Your Honor, and works full-time for the Smart Staffing, and he's been there for the last 4 months. He is a lifetime resident of the state of Georgia and has, I have one number of a person where he lives with in the area. And so, Your Honor, with the fact that he has a job and he has, I think, 5 children, Your Honor, that he's helping to financially support. That's why he's been trying to make sure he keeps stable employment. They range from ages of 6 months to 15 years of age, Your Honor. I heard that there was a felony, no bond, Your Honor, but in case he does, he may get a bond eventually on the felony case. I don't believe this case should hold him in. He should be able to go back to work, take care of his children, Your Honor. So we're asking for a signature bond if he's eligible. If not, Your Honor, a bond not to exceed $1,500 surety.
All right, thank you. $3,500 surety bond, no contact with Calicia Wilson to stay away from 183 Mount Zion Road in Southeast Atlanta. There shall be no one-time visit in this particular case, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. Thank you.
Can you repeat that bond amount, Your Honor?
$3,500 surety bond. A reset date is September 6th.
Thank you.
Hey, Judge. I got a
Yes, sir.
6-month-old baby with her. A 6-month-old baby with her. I continue.
Hold on, Mr.
Milam, I understand that. I heard your attorney about your employment, about your family way of life and everything else. But I also heard your criminal record history, which has been filled with significant violent offenses. So given all the factors together, the $3,500 is a reasonable bond. Thank you.
Okay, one more question. Like, I stay with her now.
Well, that's going to be a problem. You cannot live with her anymore after today.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 12, Mr. Palacios.
Hello, what position number is that, please?
12.
12? I have Jose Palacios, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Palacios, I don't mean to be rude, but do you understand English?
Yes.
All right, excellent. Your case number is 22 CR 005659D. And this is a traffic matter from August 23rd, 2022, from which you've been charged with the following. Driving under the influence of alcohol per se, driving under the influence of alcohol less safe, driving without a valid license, and failure to have your headlights on when required. Your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim, and you've been advised of your right to remain silent. Any priors, if you have his motor vehicle record, Mr. Howard?
No.
All right. Ms. Backus, do you have his motor vehicle record?
Your Honor, I don't have the motor vehicle record, but on his GCIC, I did see a 2010 driving without a 2013 driving without a license, 2013 driving without a license, 2013 trafficking cocaine, which was dead docketed, 2013 FTA for a license violation. And then you have ours. It appears he kind of disappeared for some years. Your Honor, the state is asking for a $7,000 surety bond. The breakdown is $5,000 count 1, $1,000 count 2, and $500 on the remaining 2 counts. No driving, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. This incident occurred, as you stated, on the 23rd. An officer was patrolling Holcomb Bridge when he observed a car being operated without headlights or taillights. So the officer got behind, activated his emergency equipment, pulled over. While the defendant was looking for somewhere to stop, the officer saw the car swerving, making jerky movements, and came to an unstable stop. Soon as the officer approached, he immediately smelled alcoholic beverage emanating from the vehicle. The defendant's eyes were bloodshot, watery, and he realized that the dial for the headlight control was set to off. The officer told him why he was being stopped and asked if it was his car. In slurred speech, he said it was his wife's car. And then he asked him if he had a driver's license. The defendant told him he did not have a driver's license or him, nor had Georgia ever issued him one, nor did any 50 of the states ever issue him one. So he's never had a license. When asked where he was coming from, he said he was coming from a party and heading home, and that he had consumed about 3 or 4 beers. Within the last half hour, the defendant was then asked to step out of the vehicle. And when doing so, he continually had to brace himself because he couldn't keep his balance. The defendant began to say at that point, he didn't speak English. So the officer got an interpreter and asked the defendant if he would be willing to submit to a series of evaluations, which the defendant said that he would not submit to that. But based on all the other evidence, the officer determined that he was driving under the influence. And so after being read the implied consent at the station, he did do an intoxilizer test, which he was over the legal limit. Your Honor,
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead. You're asking for 7,000 then, based on this information.
Go for it. That's what it is. Yep.
Miss Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Jose, he is 34 years old and he has been here in Georgia for the last 15 years. He has his wife here in Georgia, and he has a job at Palacio Remodeling, and he is graduate from high school. We would like to request for a signature on bond since he's not going anywhere. Indeed, he also has another warrant at Paulding County, so we would like to request that he will be released to Paulding County. That's it, Your Honor.
All right. On the DUI alcohol per se, that's going to be a 2,500 surety bond. On the DUI under the influence less safe, that's an alternative charge, and the bond's going to be 2,500 signature bond through the jail. The driving without a valid license is 1,500, and that's going to be a surety bond. Headlights not turned on, that's going to be a $500 signature bond through the jail. This is a total of a $3,000 signature bond through the jail and a $4,000 surety bond, which adds up to $7,000 split bond. Conditions to the bond are no driving unless you have a valid current U.S. driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration for the vehicle. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Next court date is September 6th.
Let's go number 16, Mr. Taylor. Taylor?
Carlise Taylor is present.
He is. I give
And a couple of folks in courtroom 3 as well.
Here you go. Put the mask on your face.
All right. All right, Mr. Taylor, Carlise Taylor, case number 22 CR 0056666E has been accused of criminal trespass from August 11th, 2022. Mr. Taylor, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Tucson? Mr. Tucson, is not at the scene. Okay. Ms. Duncan, if you want to proceed.
Yes, Your Honor. In this case, this defendant has, from what I can see, 17 cycles going back to 1999. Of those 17 cycles, 5 of them include criminal trespass convictions spanning from 2018 to 2022. Most recent being in August, I'm sorry. Yes, I believe, yes, 2020. I believe, no, I'm sorry, the last one is 2022. They've spanned from Marta to Grady to Lenox Mall. There are 2 FTA arrests, three, one from 2017, one from 2018, and one from 2022. This defendant also pled no to criminal trespass in August of 2019. In this instance, it occurred at the Emory University Midtown Hospital, located at 550 West Peachtree Street in Atlanta. And it occurred on August 11th, 2022. And in this instance, officers were dispatched to this location and they met with the defendant in this case after he had been told to leave the hospital several times and warned not to come back unless he had a legitimate reason to be there. He came back onto the property and was on the property at that time. Given his extensive history, we have concern about the risk of reoffense in this case. Therefore, the state is going to be requesting a $1,500 surety bond, a stay away from the Emory University Midtown Hospital unless he has a legitimate medical reason to be there, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right, thank you. Oh, thank you, Mr. Tucson. Mr. Tucson says that was an excellent recitation of the GCIC, Ms. Duncan. So you got a hero in him. All right, Miss Kim.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Taylor is 39 years old and he was born and raised here in Georgia. He does not have employment and he graduated from high school and he does not have any means to pay for his bond at this point. And we are actually requesting social worker services to have a visit for him so that way they can provide housing resources and other resources he may need. We would like to request for signature on bond or maximum $500 good bond. Thanks.
It's $1,000 surety bond based on his extensive criminal record history and recent arrests as well. He's to stay away 200 yards away from the Emory University Hospital at 550 West Peachtree Street. He's only allowed to enter the premises if he has a verifiable appointment with a healthcare provider or he is seeking emergency treatment. Thank you. Next court date is September 6th.
Thank you.
This we got 17, Mr. Tolbert.
Mr. Tobias Kenyatta Tolbert is case number 22 CR 0056611Y, accused of battery, domestic violence, 2 counts from September 4th, 2020. All right. And Mr. Tolbert, you've been advised of your right to remain silent and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
This 4th arrest, 2007, 18, and 22. All he has is a suspended license from those years. He was just arrested in Clayton County for suspended license on the 19th of this month.
All right.
But no violence.
No violence. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, that case out of Clayton County is open. He received I believe, $2,000 bond on that case for driving. And in this case, Your Honor, the incident is alleged to have occurred on yesterday. The victim is Miss Shariante. My apologies if I said that wrong, but it's SHARIANTE, Hawes, WHAWES. In this instance, she indicated to officers upon arrival at the emergency room where she was at the Atlanta Medical Center that she had been riding with her child's father, the defendant in this case, and they had been arguing about ending their relationship because she had been trying to for about a couple of months, and he did not like what she was saying. So he struck her in the face, leaving visible bruising on the inside of her lip, and began pushing her head down in the middle of the seat. And when she tried to exit the vehicle, he grabbed her by the arm and he bit her above the elbow, leaving a visible bite mark.
Okay, I just want to clarify that this is from 2020. You said it happened yesterday. I just wanted to make sure that was just a...
My apologies, yes. It's September 4th, 2020, my apologies.
Okay, no problem.
After the attack and bite on her elbow, she was able to exit the vehicle and she actually had to walk back to work and was later brought her belongings to the front desk. She is concerned about her safety in this situation because she didn't want to lose her job. We have concern about the risk of reoffense because they do share a child together in this case, and the danger to this particular victim, given the facts alleged in this incident and the visible injuries that result. Given that, Your Honor, we're going to be requesting a $1,000 total surety bond. That's $3,000 per count of battery, family violence. No further contact with the victim in this case. Third-party child contact, stay away from the victim's residence and where she works. One-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons. The state is not aware of the victim's residence because this incident occurred, I believe, at a gas station near one. So we're just asking for that, no further contact, and we believe it might cover the stay away.
All right, is there a Miss Hayes on this Zoom? No?
We
Okay.
weren't able to make contact, Your Honor.
All right. Miss Kim, are you aware if Mr. Tolbert still resides with Miss Hayes or?
They do not reside together. They have been
Alright.
separated ever since 2019.
Oh, okay. Bond is going to be set at $3,500 on each count. That's a $7,000 signature bond through pretrial services. Mr. Tolbert's to have no further contact with Shariante Hayes, H-A either W or Y-E-S. So he is to stay 200 yards away from her, not communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. I'll allow for third-party transfer of the children, no illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons. And he will report to pretrial once a month and undertake the one-day anger awareness program. Mr. Tolbert, you've been given a signature bond, and all we require you is to make sure you comply with the conditions of the bond. Your next court date will be sent to you at your current mailing address. So please be sure that the clerk's office has that current mailing address. We have Perry Boulevard. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, that is correct.
All right.
Your Honor, just for the record, the state would like to have an objection to the signature bond given the violence alleged and injuries that occurred.
Understood. Thank you. Okay. Do we need a Spanish interpreter for any case?
Yeah, yes, we're back in now. They're gonna be in courtroom 3 though.
All right. Courtroom 3.
To the officer get there, we got number 18, Mr. Trout.
18, okay. This is Joseph Kevin Trout, 22 CR 005655G. Mr. Trout has been accused of loitering and prowling, willful obstruction of an officer, and giving false information to an officer from August 22nd, 2022. Mr. Trout, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Any priors, please?
7 total. History out of California, Washington, and Virginia. Virginia, I'm gonna do Virginia first. December 2021. False identified self to law enforcement. That was non-process. 2016 out of Washington for assault, domestic violence. 2010 suspended license, guilty. 2018 out of California, theft of personal property / petty theft. Last arrest in Georgia was back in June 2021 out of Doraville, carrying weapon without a valid license. 2019 misdemeanor obstruction. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor, this incident is alleged to have occurred yesterday at 1425 Market Boulevard, which is a Burger King. In this instance, Your Honor, the defendant is alleged to have been living inside the vacant Burger King. And when community members noticed a person going in and out of a broken window at the facility, they alerted police. And once police arrived on scene, they were able to make contact with the defendant inside of one of the freezers in the building. In this case, Your Honor, at that time, the defendant was placed under arrest, and once placed under arrest, he did make it difficult for officers to handcuff him. In addition to, when asked his name, He gave several different names and several different birthdays. How one in particular is Joel Trout, JOELTROUP, and the birth date of August 10th, 1990. And when officers attempted to put the defendant into the patrol vehicle, he continued to stick his legs out of the door, so much so to the point where officers had to try several times, and a second officer had to assist in pulling the defendant in the vehicle in order to be able to close the door without closing his legs. Given this defendant's history and for similar offenses, the state is going to be requesting a $1,500 surety. That's $500 per charge. Stay away from that location. No alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law.
All right, thank you. Miss Kim?
Yes, Mr. Joseph is 30 years old, and he moved from another state to Georgia about 3 years ago, since his mother and stepfather and sister reside here so that they can support him. He says that he has been self-employed and he likes doing the technology / computer work for other people. He graduated from high school as well. We would like to request for signature on bond for these charges. And yet, if your honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request for $750 total, $250 per each charge. Thank you, your honor.
Thank you. It's $250 on the loitering and prowling and the willful obstruction, and $500 on giving false information. His total bond is $1,000. It is a surety bond, and to stay away from the incident location. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next court date is September 6th.
And that's $500 on the giving false name, correct?
Yes, giving false information to an officer, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I have courtroom 3 present, and I do know I have my Officer Norris. I'm going to move on to courtroom 3 to take care of the interpreter case. Who do we have, please, in courtroom 3?
We have positions 8 and position 9, Johnny Julian and Beldazar Hernandez.
Thank you, sir. Madam Interpreter, do you solemnly swear and affirm that the testimony you translate will be a true and accurate translation with no changes or embellishment?
I do, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Your Honor, before we get started, these were my 2 cases. They told me that an interpreter was needed. I have not had an opportunity to speak with either one of these individuals.
All right. Which positions do you represent on the calendar?
I think they're both 8 and 9, Mr. Hernandez and Mr.
I mean, do
Junior.
you represent the top half of the calendar, the bottom?
Yeah, top half. Yes, I okay. Yeah, I
All
do.
right. So 1 through 10 then?
Yeah, 1 through 10, yes.
Do you represent the add-on as well?
No, I do not.
Okay. So Ms. Champion, we're going to place courtroom 3 in a breakout with Mr. Charles Ford and our Spanish interpreter, please. All right, and then I'm moving on to courtroom 2. Courtroom 2, who do we have in the seat, please?
Add on 1, Mr. Long.
All right.
Your Honor, why are the charges from other states?
All right, I haven't received anything yet from any. Okay. Okay, I'm addressing position of the add-on case. This is 22 CR 005-669H. State versus Zafrin Long. Are you, can we unmute? Are you Zafrin Long?
Yeah.
Okay. So far, Mr. Long, my name is Judge Long, and this is what we call an accusation calendar. Misdemeanor charges which have now been formally accused, and hence your case is now with the State Court of Fulton County. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your case, your statements can and will be used against you. You have a right to an attorney, and representing you in this proceeding is going to be Public Defense Attorney, Ms. Kim. And Miss Allen, as far as I can see now, he's been charged with 1 count of possession of a pistol or revolver by a person under the age of 18. And looks like he's got an additional charge of theft by taking that's been added on to the calendar. So if you just give me a moment, I want to check on. Mr. Tucson, do you have any priors on Mr. Long?
No.
All right. So we do have a warrant for the possession of a pistol, but I don't see a warrant yet on the theft by taking. So Miss Allen, would you like to proceed?
We would ask that you hold him, I guess, to the end of the calendar. I'm looking at the jail screen now. And I don't see the warrants. I see them listed, but I'm not able to open them. So I would just ask for a few moments, Your Honor.
Well,
And
let me
I'll-
find out what's the state's recommendation on bond for the possession of a pistol.
Well, I believe the other announcement that was made by Ms. Falk is that there are now felony warrants as it relates to this case.
I see.
And she's on her way to Hateville. And so these are going to be felony charges.
Even
we-
the possession of pistol? Are we changing it to a possession of firearm?
It's a possession of a firearm, I believe, but I know that the theft by taking is a felony, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, Officer Norris, it looks like this young man's charges may be upgraded. I'm not sure. So we need to put his case on standby until we get further information. May we address any cases from positions 11 through 20?
Got number 11, Mr. Murray.
Okay. This is Adonis Murray Jr., accused of simple battery in case 22 CR 005649F. Mr. Murray, this is from an August 24th, 2022 incident. You've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Tucson?
Oh.
All right. Ms. Bacchus?
I want to verify that I have the right GCIC. He said no priors. I see 16.
Ooh.
16?
All right, this is Adonis Murray Jr. Adonis,
Let me-
A-D-O-N-I-S.
Let me make sure.
I've got a date of birth of August 7th, 1992.
That's what I got.
Okay, let me just make sure really quick. Yep, that is what I have. What is the date of birth again that you have?
We have August 7th, 1992.
8/7/1992.
He is a junior.
A junior, not, he's got a suffix, Murray Jr.
Huh. Okay, so I'm not sure if this is a fused.
You know what? Let me rerun this history real quick.
Okay.
All right.
In the meantime, Your Honor, would you like me to proceed?
Yes, you may, based on what you believe his history to be, what's the state recommending?
The state is recommending there's already a $2,500 surety in place. The state is recommending a $5,000 surety, a no further contact. We don't actually have the name of the victim, and we have not been able to contact them, but no further contact as a precautionary measure, and stay away from incident location of 2453 Coronet Way Northwest. 1 day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. We do know that this incident occurred on yesterday and an officer was dispatched to that incident location in reference to a dispute. And upon arrival, the officer in his investigations ascertained that the defendant pushed the victim into a wall, leaving a hole in the wall. And the victim told the officer that they feared that they would be injured. Again, Your Honor, that's what we have right now, the 16. I will wait for pretrial and defer to the state for right now.
All right, Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Murray is 30 years old and he resides with Mr. Matthew Ligon, who is a complaining witness at 2453 Corona Way. And they do reside together as friends and roommates, but the place is in his name. So if he objects, of course, my client has to go back to Macon, Georgia, where his families are. He has been here in Georgia for about 30 years, all his life. He has 4 minor children that he supports financially. And right now he has no job. He actually get by day from like doing odd jobs. Ever since he was laid off from Chick-fil-A, he's having hard time to get a job. It's been about a week and he graduated from high school. He does not have any financial means to pay for the bond. Even $2,500 is he cannot afford right now. So we would like to request for signature on bond because we believe that he was recommended for unsecured judicial relief because my client does not have any history.
Yeah, Stay, you can go and get a history. He got a history.
Okay.
Yeah, so my file is wrong that I have.
All right, so 16 from 2012. We've got these are the convictions: 2012, possessing or furnishing alcohol below 21, 2014 battery, NOLO, 2015 driving while suspended, 2016 marijuana less than an ounce, 2018 battery, family violence, and a simple battery of an officer, 2019 possession of a Schedule II controlled substance, 2019 probation violation, probation revocation, 2021 probation violation for simple battery of a law enforcement officer. And then as far as arrests, we've got 2012 FTA, 2013 underage drinking, 2013 furnishing and possessing alcohol underage and giving false name, 2013 probation violation, 2014 FTA, which was dismissed, 2019 probation violation, 2022 marijuana less than an ounce, and then a 7/2022 failure to appear. So based on that, Your Honor, we are asking for that $5,000 surety, no further contact, which the defense can provide the name of the victim, a stay away from the incident location, 1-day anger awareness, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
I would like to request for $2,500 remain the set, please. Thank you.
A bond will be $2,500. It is a surety bond. No further contact with Matthew Ligon. I think it's Ligen.
Yes.
Stay away from 2453 Coronet Way unless he can go back one time only with a police officer to, number one, verify that it's not occupied by Mr. Ligon, then he may return. But if it's occupied, he needs to get an alternative address. His next court date is going to be September 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Wow. Yes, we have number 13, Mr. Price.
Walter Price is accused of battery in case number 22 CR 0056508 from August 22nd, 2022. Mr. Price, you've been advised you have a right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. McLeod. Any priors, Mr. Tucson?
Yeah, hold on. I'm at about 20 cycles.
Any recent convictions?
He got open case though for robbery by sudden snatch and possession of cocaine. 17 SC 153094. Hold on. I see some NOLOs. Probation violation. Conviction from 2019.
That's a PV violation from 2019.
Yes.
Okay.
NOLO, the shoplifting 2016, trespass 2015.
Okay.
more probations. He had an ag assault and a battery from 05. There were no bill.
Okay, that's good. Thank you. Ms. Backus, any bond recommendation for Mr. Price?
Yes, Your Honor, $5,000 surety bond. Oh, let me, here's this, okay. $5,000 surety bond, no further contact with the victim, Sanders Love. Stay away from the incident location of 2939 River Ridge Drive Southwest in Atlanta. 1-day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons. This incident, as you stated, Your Honor, occurred on August 22nd. The officer arrived to a fight in progress call at that address. When the officer got there, they spoke with a Miss Marion McLean, who said that the defendant, who was under some type of influence of a drug, came to her property and she told him multiple times to leave. The defendant then threw a punch attempting to hit. It's not clear who he attempted to hit actually from the facts, but he attempted to hit someone and missed. And he was simultaneously confronted the victims, Mr. Sanders Love and Miss McLean's daughter. So as the defendant attempted to strike the daughter, Mr. Love, the father, tried to intervene. And while doing so, he was bitten on his upper left arm by the defendant. There was visible injury of the bite mark, and the officer noted that there was substantial blood that was lost. And the father of the defendant, Mr. Walter Price Sr., told the officer that that the father, or Mr. Sanders Love, has asked the defendant to stay away from the home several times, and his son won't comply. And so when the officer spoke with the defendant, he could see that he was under the influence as well. And so they placed him under arrest. Our office was able to speak with Mr. Sanders, who stated that the defendant does not live in that neighborhood. His father lives across the street, but he is always coming on the property trying to fight with his daughters and his granddaughter. And so he's asking that there be no contact and a stay away. And I believe that the victim's daughter may be on the line, and that might be Miss McLean. I'm not sure.
I only have one victim listed, Sanders Love. So we shall proceed with the defense. Ms. McLeod?
Yes, Your Honor. My client is 48 years old. He is a native of Atlanta. He has 3 children, 1 adult child and a 13-year-old and a 4-year-old. He denies the allegations as stated by the prosecutor, Your Honor. In fact, he states that it was the neighbor, it was the complaining witness who first confronted him and assaulted him. There was more than one of them, and he was merely defending himself when he was attacked by them. He was simply defending himself. Your Honor, my client doesn't have any money to pay bond, Your Honor. So I would ask the court to take that into consideration when setting this bond. I do understand that he does have some kind of history, Your Honor, but I would ask the court to consider giving him a low bond, because I imagine the court would think that he's not qualified for a signature bond based on the allegations. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, unfortunately, you would be correct. His bond is going to be set at $1,500. It's going to be a surety bond. His next court date is September 6th. He's to have no further contact with Sanders Love, and he has to stay 200 yards away from 2939 River Ridge Drive, which basically means he has to stay away from that entire neighborhood. So if he has family who lives in that neighborhood, they can come visit him, but he cannot go to that location. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. My business before the court is concluded. As of now, Your Honor, may I be excused?
Yes, you have a good evening. Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
How much was that?
1,500 surety. All right, next case in courtroom 2, please.
19, Mr. Williams.
Okay. Do we have Nigel Stafford in there too? Position 15?
That was actually waiver of appearance. I can do that without.
All right.
His.
Just wanted to be sure. Thank you.
Yes.
All right. So we have position 19. We have Jamel Williams, case number 22 CR 005664D. Mr. Williams has been arrested and charged with certain offenses stemming from a traffic incident from August 24th, 2022. The charges are driving under the influence of drugs, possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, improper erratic lane change, possession of an open alcohol container, and driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs. Mr. Williams, these are the charges that have been brought against you. You have been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Ms. Kim. Any priors, Mr. Tucson, especially MBR issues? Vehicle?
I don't have the driving, but I got the GCIC.
Any traffic-related matters on GCIC?
2015 suspended license dismissed. 2019, it says FTA out of Milton. It was not prosecuted.
Okay.
And the 06 arrest out of North Carolina. That was dismissed.
Oh, thank you. Ms. Duncan?
Your Honor, I do in fact have the driver history in this case. This
Yes,
defendant has a driver license suspension that was from May 2022 until June 2022, a speeding citation from 2021, a failure to obey a stop sign citation 2019, failure to appear 2018 citation that resulted in a suspension, and there was a license denial in 2015. Your Honor, in this case, there are a couple of preset bonds. For the DUI drugs, there's a $3,500 preset surety bond. For the possession of marijuana less than 1 ounce, there's a $1,000 surety preset bond. For the improper or erratic lane change, there's a $1,000 preset surety bond. And for the possession of the open alcohol container, there's a $1,000 surety preset bond. And for the additional DUI combined, the state is going to be requesting a $3,000 total surety bond. For the total $9,500. No alcohol, drugs, or weapons, no further violations of Georgia law, and no driving. This incident is alleged to have occurred in the area of Georgia 400 and Holcomb Bridge Road. In this case, Your Honor, the defendant was seen by officers at 12:41 a.m. actually this morning, crossing over the dotted white and double yellow lines on the highway, going inconsistent speeds. And when the officers initiated the traffic stop, the defendant got off the highway and continued on the roads without using turn signal. Upon making contact, the officers did detect an odor of marijuana coming from the vehicle. He stated that he was coming from a store, but he couldn't remember which store. The officers observed brown, partially burnt wrapping papers in the passenger seat. They observed that the defendant's eyes were red and watery. He stated to officers that he had had a single beer earlier that day, but did admit to smoking marijuana before driving, and stating that he wasn't a regular marijuana smoker. The officers indicated that when they asked the defendant to leave the vehicle, he was having trouble standing up, and at several points, his eyes had almost come nearly to a close while standing up and trying to speak to the officers. Officers did locate in the vehicle a front cup holder and unopened malt liquor beverage, as well as a partially empty Coca-Cola bottle with the odor of alcoholic beverage coming from it, and that was verified by 2 officers. The officers did conduct field sobriety tests. He did not, he failed the HDN. There were signs observed on the walking test, and there were cues observed on the balance and cording test as well. However, the Alka-Seltzer did not detect the presence of alcohol at that time. When he was placed under arrest, he was read the implied consent for 21 and over, which he agreed to, and was taken to the hospital to obtain the blood and urine samples, and those are pending at this time. The state has a concern in this instance, Your Honor, because it was at nighttime, and this is a dangerous situation to be in, driving at erratic speeds on the highway. We also have a concern for flight risk in this case, given that there is a recent FTA, and given the facts and circumstances, including the all factors present in the driver's history, we feel like that $9,500 total surety is more than reasonable in this case. Nothing further from the state.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Mr. Williams is 32 years old and he resides in Alpharetta. He has been there for about 5 years, and he also has 2 children that he has one of them he has a custody with full-time, and the child actually has autism, so he has to provide a lot of support for him. And right now he's been working as a Lyft driver. He's been doing that for about 7 years, and he has a 2 years of college education, Your Honor. We would like to request for the maximum $1,000 of DUI surety bond, and the remaining we would like to request for signature on bond. If Your Honor is not inclined to give him a signature on bond, we would like to request the maximum $500 per charge. Thank you, Your Honor.
On the driving under the influence of drugs is going to be a $3,000 signature bond through the jail. The possession of marijuana is a $500 signature bond through the jail. That's a total of $3,500 signature bond through the jail. The improper erratic lane change is a $500 surety bond. Possession of an open alcohol container is a $1,000 surety bond. And the DUI under the influence of alcohol and drugs, that's going to be a $2,000 surety bond. That's a total of $3,500. That's a total of a $7,000 split bond. No alcohol, no illegal drugs, which includes marijuana in the state of Georgia, and no weapons and no firearms. And he can only drive a vehicle if he's permitted to do so by the Department of Driver Services. After 30 days, his license will be suspended, or driving privileges will be suspended unless he goes through the regular process with the administrative appeal. No driving, like I said, unless he has permission, and must have adequate insurance and proper registration. Thank you. Next court date is September 6th.
Thank you. Thank you.
If you want to take the waiver, go back.
All right. Yeah, I'm waiting on Mr. Ford to conclude also. Ms. Champion, please let him know he needs to wrap it up. We're going to go to Nigel Stafford. Mr. Stafford's case is 22 CR 005654F, accused of criminal trespass from August 23rd, 2022. Ms. Kim is the appointed counsel, and she has waived his appearance for this initial appearance calendar. So, Mr. Tucson, any priors on Nigel Stafford?
Oh, he's a resident of Monroe, New Jersey.
All right. Thank you. Ms. Bacchus?
Yes, Your Honor. For this case, the state is recommending $1,000 surety bond. No further contact with Julian Mohr, M-O-H-R Jr. And
oops, just 1 second. Ms.
a
Champion?
stay away from the incident location of 81 East Park Lane, Northeast in Atlanta, and no alcohol, drugs, or weapons, and a competency eval. Your Honor, this incident occurred on the 23rd. An officer was dispatched to that incident location, and when he got there, spoke with Mr. Mohr and Mrs. Mohr. The couple told the officer that they are the owners of the property, and that this male, later identified as the defendant, walked into their backyard, sat in their gazebo chair. They asked him to leave. He refused. And so when the officer walked to the backyard, that's where he saw the defendant sitting. He introduced himself and asked for the name. He wouldn't answer any questions and refused to leave. And so the officer called for backup, and they were able to place him in handcuffs. Your Honor, we are aware that this is a first arrest, but just based on the
Sorry about that.
No, it's okay. Just based on the scenario, we feel as though the comp eval is possibly necessary. Nothing further.
Thank you. Ms. Kim?
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Stafford is 21 years old, Your Honor, and he's been here in Georgia for 3 months, and he moved here because his sister resides here. He has not had any employment yet. He's looking for a job, and his highest education is 11th grade, Your Honor. We would like to request for signature on bond since this is his first offense ever. Thank you.
Unfortunately, he doesn't have any ties with the community. His bond is going to be set at $1,000 surety bond to have him stay away from 81 East Park Lane in Atlanta, Georgia. And his next court date will be September 6th. If Ms. Kim, if you would like a social worker to evaluate him, we'll be
Sure.
open to a proposed order. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we are back with our add-on in the courtroom 3. And Ms. Allen, are we ready to proceed on Mr. Long? Not yet? All right, let's move on to.
Your
courtroom-
Honor, I apologize. I sent an email to you and Mrs. Kim with a copy of the order signed by the DA's office accepting the case, and we are just waiting for the actual warrant. It's in the system, but it is not viewable. It's coming from Hateville now. So it's the theft by taking that is the felony.
All right, but the possession is a misdemeanor.
Correct.
All right. And are these all one and same incident? Are y'all planning to?
Yes, Your Honor, it's
all
one
these
incident.
charges?
For Mr. Long, the 2 charges, yes.
But the DA's office has accepted the case?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Kim, you represent Mr. Zephyrin Long, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so Mr. Zephyrin Long, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Ms. Kim. The Solicitor General's Office of Fulton County is the prosecutorial arm for misdemeanor offenses. However, it appears that the district attorney's office that presides over felony cases has decided to accept this case along with all the charges and to try it as a felony matter. I'm going to sign the transfer order, and the case is going to be transferred to the Superior Court of Fulton County, where it will be presided over by the district attorney's office. That concludes this case. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All
Thank
right,
you.
moving on to courtroom 3. Who do we have in the seat, please?
That's position number 9, Mr. Johnny Huyen.
Mr. Ford, are you? Is everyone else out of the breakout room? Mr. Ford and our interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And the screens keep changing on me. So. All right. Position number 9. Okay. Are both the individuals in courtroom 3 Spanish, need a Spanish interpreter?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. This announcement goes to both the gentlemen in courtroom 3, Mr. Hernandez and Mr. Julian. Madam Interpreter.
El anuncio es para las 2 personas en la sala número 3, el señor Johnny Julian y el señor Hernandez.
All right. Your cases both will be tried, both will be addressed separately.
Los casos suyos van a ser los 2 escuchados separadamente.
You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say about the facts of your cases will be translated and your statements will be held against you.
Ustedes tienen el derecho de permanecer en silencio. Cualquier cosa que ustedes digan va a ser traducido y eso puede ser usado en contra suya.
You have a right to an attorney, and one of our public defense attorney, Mr. Charles Ford, will be representing you.
Ustedes tienen el derecho legal a un abogado y el abogado público Charles Ford va a estar representándolos.
So the first case we are addressing is State versus Johnny Julian, case number 22 CR 0056638.
Entonces, el primer caso del cual vamos a hablar es el de Johnny Julian, es el caso 22 CR 0056638.
Mr. Julian has been charged with 1 count of simple battery, criminal trespass, and 2 counts of battery from a July 17th, 2022 incident.
El señor Julián ha sido acusado con un cargo de pelea y simple, un cargo, una acusación de traspaso criminal y 2 cargos de pelea.
All right. So we are first going to hear about Mr. Julian's criminal history record.
Primero vamos a escuchar sobre el récord criminal del señor Julián.
Please make a note also that Mr. Julian has a hold by the Lilburn Police Department.
También hay que notar que el señor Julián tiene de parte del Departamento de Policía de Lilburn, existe un que lo tienen que mantener. O sea, que lo tienen que sostener y que lo tienen que mantener.
All right. Let's proceed with Mr. Tucson.
I got first arrest. I don't know what the hold is for because it wasn't on the GCLC.
Okay, it's on Odyssey, so. All right, let's move on to Ms. Bacchus.
Yes, Your
Madam
Honor.
Interpreter, please let him know if this is his first arrest.
Este es su primer arresto.
Now, it's possible the hold could be a traffic matter. It might not involve an arrest. It could just be an FTA for failure to appear in court.
Puede ser que el caso anterior porque le tienen que mantener no fue un arresto, puede haber sido una infracción de tráfico y que usted no se presentó al tribunal o algo así.
Please proceed, Ms. Bacchus.
Yes, Your Honor. The state's recommendation in this case is a $7,000 surety bond. The breakdown would be $2,000 surety on both the battery counts and $1,500 on the remaining 2 counts.
Okay.
Lo que el Estado, lo que la Fiscalía está sugiriendo es un bono de fianza con un valor total de $7,000. $2,000 por cada acusación de pelea y $1,500 por las otras 2 acusaciones y cargos.
Also, no further contact with all the victims by the name of Nestor Perez, Gabriela Perez, and Aurora Moreno.
También no debe tener contacto ni comunicación con las 3 víctimas, Néstor y Gabriela Pérez y Aurora Moreno.
Stay away from the incident location of 450 Hembry Forest Circle in Roswell, as well as One Day Anger Awareness, no alcohol, drugs, or weapons.
Tiene que no ir a la dirección del 450, mantenerse alejado de la dirección del 450 de Hembry Forest Circle en Roswell y aparte tiene que cursar una clase para corrección de la falta.
Okay.
This incident occurred July 17th when an officer was dispatched to that incident location in reference to a physical disturbance.
Este incidente ocurrió el 17 de julio cuando un agente de policía fue mandado a esa dirección por una pelea que estaba, perturbando la paz.
When the officers arrived, they spoke with Mr. Florencia Valdez Morales, who informed the officer that the defendant was fighting people at his residence.
Cuando llegó el policía, él habló con una persona que se llama Florencio Valdez Morales, quien le indicó que el acusado estaba peleando con personas en la casa de él.
Mr. Florencia was having a get-together with friends and family when the defendant showed up to his house and entered the home through a window near the driveway.
El señor Valdez Morales estaba teniendo una reunión con familia y amigos en su casa cuando el acusado entró a su casa por una ventana.
Mr. Florencia said he was threatening to hurt people and causing a scene.
El señor Florencio dijo también que usted estaba amenazando de lastimar a personas y causando una escena.
Mr. Florencia also said that the defendant went after the primary victim, Mr. Nestor Perez, and began fighting him.
Y también el señor Florencio dijo que el señor Julián fue en contra del señor Néstor Pérez, la víctima principal, y empezó a pelear con él.
Eventually, multiple people were able to break them up, and that's when Mr. Florencia called 911.
Eventualmente, muchas personas pudieron detener la pelea y ahí es cuando el señor Florencio pudo llamar al 911.
Earlier in that evening, Mr. Florencia and the defendant had gotten into a physical altercation. The defendant was upset and left, so he went home and then came back to Mr. Florencia's home.
Más temprano esa noche, el señor Florencio y el acusado tuvieron un altercado. El señor acusado se fue y regresó más tarde en la noche.
Mr. Néstor Perez said that the defendant attacked him for no reason.
El señor Néstor Pérez dijo que el acusado lo atacó sin ninguna razón.
A witness on the scene, Daniel Zuniga, told officers that Néstor was trying to calm the defendant down when the defendant attacked Néstor.
Un testigo en el lugar, Daniel Zúñiga, le dijo a la policía que Néstor estaba tratando de calmar al acusado por el ataque y que no pudo hacerlo.
Okay.
You got it, Your Honor?
Yeah, I've got it. So I read the warrant and
Okay, perfect.
it makes sense to me now. Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Ford, do you have a response? You've already conferred with your client?
Yes, I've spoken with my client, Your Honor. He's 30 years old, has a third grade education, but he explained that he is working as a plumber with Rawlings Company, and he also drives Uber. And he's been in Georgia for over 9 years. He has 2 dependents, a 12-year-old daughter and a 9-month-old daughter that he provides financial support for. He has a stable address in Roswell, Georgia. I have a telephone number and email address with him. We're asking for a signature bond in this matter, Your Honor, if he is eligible, due to the fact that if there is a hold, he needs to go out and deal with that because he feels that he's missed several days of work and he needs.
I'm sorry, your interpreter had to chime in at some point. So.
Oh yeah, I forgot I got an interpreter.
It's okay. I do take notes. It's okay.
Go ahead.
Lo que dice su abogado es que usted es una persona de 30 años de edad, tiene una educación hasta el 3er grado, trabaja como plomero en una compañía que se llama Rawlings y también maneja para Uber. Tiene en el estado de Georgia, estado 9 años y tiene 2 personas que dependen de usted, sus hijas de 12 años de edad y de 9 meses de edad. Tiene una dirección estable, una residencia estable, teléfono y también tiene un trabajo estable. Go ahead, Mr. Ford.
Yeah, I knew she could handle it because we've already gone over these questions.
Okay.
Your Honor, yes, we're asking for a signature bond so he can deal with the fact that he doesn't want to miss work, so he can provide for his family, the dependents at this time, and being that he may have a hold in another county, he needs to go out and take care of that. As we've been read, he has no criminal history, so we're asking for a signature bond, Your Honor.
On simple batteries. Sorry.
That's right. Y estamos pidiendo que se le deje salir sin pagar fianza, nada más con una fianza con su firma, porque él no quiere dejar de trabajar, no quiere perder el trabajo, y ya que tiene esa detención o que le tienen que mantener por el otro condado, lo que tiene que hacer, tiene que ir a resolver eso. Go ahead, Your Honor. Sorry.
Thank you. On the simple batteries, 2,000. The criminal trespass is 2,000. The battery is going to be 2,500 each. The total bond set is going to be a $10,000 signature bond through pretrial services. He will report to pretrial once a month, and he cannot afford to get arrested again. Otherwise, this bond will be converted to a surety bond or a cash bond.
Per judge.
Per judge, yes.
Okay, entonces, lo que ha fijado de fianza la jueza es Por una acusación de la pelea grave son $2,000. Por la otra acusación del traspaso es de otros $2,000. Y de ahí $2,500 por cada una de las otras acusaciones de la pelea. Eso es un total de $10,000 que tiene usted en una fianza. La jueza le está dejando salir con su firma. Eso es un bono que tiene que firmar para poder salir. Pero hay ciertas condiciones, obviamente, que si es que usted no cumple todo lo que se le dijo que tenía que hacer, entonces puede ser arrestado. Y si se le arresta nuevamente otra vez, no se le va a dejar salir sin pagar una fianza con seguridad, se llama. O sea, no únicamente con su firma.
He is to stay 200 yards away from 450 Hembry Forest Circle in Roswell, Georgia. To have no contact, stay 200 yards away from Nestor Perez, Gabriela Perez, Aurora Moreno, and the fourth person is the Florin Rico.
There was another person that was hit in the warrant, Your Honor. That was Daniel Zuniga, who said he did not want to press charges. Is that who you're referring to?
No, there was a Florin Rico, the owner
Florencio.
Of the owner of the house.
Yes. I can't remember his name.
Florencia Valdez Morales.
There we go.
Ok, entonces por orden de la juez es que usted no puede regresar, debe mantenerse lejos de la dirección de la dirección de 450 Hembry Ford Circle en Roswell, y tiene que mantenerse alejado a 200 yardas de distancia de Néstor Pérez, Gabriela Pérez, Florencio Valdés Morales y Aurora Moreno.
And did you mention the fourth person too?
Néstor Pérez, Gabriela Pérez, Aurora Moreno, and Florencio Valdés Morales. Those four people. Your Honor, as an interpreter's note, I did not mention Mr. Zuniga, who's the person that did not press charges.
We're not including him. So it's just the four individuals you identified. That's fine.
Your Honor.
Thank you. His next court date will be sent to him at his current address that we have on file. If he changes his address, he must let us know.
Si es que usted se cambia, va a recibir una fecha para que aparezca en el tribunal. Esa lo va a recibir por correo a su dirección, a su casa. Si es que se cambia de casa, necesita notificar a la corte.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
Y eso termina este caso.
Let him know he got to do Zoom, his orientation by Zoom. It'll be a Spanish interpreter on it.
Okay.
He's, I'm sorry, Mr. Jordan.
He'll have to do his pre-trial orientation by Zoom, and there will be a Spanish interpreter. We'll send him the date on when he has to sit for his Zoom orientation.
Le van a dar una orientación antes de que llegue al juicio. Entonces, esa orientación va a ser por medio de Zoom y va a haber un intérprete para usted. Entonces, le vamos a mandar la fecha para eso.
He'll get the notice before he leaves the jail.
Y le pueden dar la notificación antes de que salga de la cárcel.
All right, is that good, Tucson?
¿Está bien eso?
Yes.
Thank you.
Judge, give me the breakdown of those charges again.
Simple battery and trespass were 2,000. The battery was 2,500 each. So that's 9,000, excuse me. Total of 9,000.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Okay. Thank you.
Signature bond for pretrial. Okay, thank you. All right, moving on to Beldazar Hernandez, case number 22 CR 0056628. Mr. Hernandez has been charged with DUI, driving under the influence of alcohol, Nessie, expired or no license of person, and improper erratic lane change from August 23rd, 2022.
Siguiente caso es del señor Baltasar Hernández, el cual el número es 22CR00566268, con las acusaciones de manejar embriagado, manejar bajo la influencia de alcohol, no seguro y no tener licencia de conducir.
Mr. Hernandez, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Charles Ford.
Señor Hernández, se le ha dicho a usted que tiene el derecho de permanecer en silencio y su abogado es el señor Charles Ford.
Any priors, Mr. Howard?
I got first arrest.
All right, thank you. Ms. Tortorella?
Yes, Your Honor. We are asking for $5,000 surety bond total. For the DUIs, a $3,000 surety. For the no license is a $1,000 surety. And for the erratic lane change charge is a $1,000 surety.
All right.
Entonces a la juez se le informó que es su primer arresto y la fiscalía, el estado está pidiendo que se le dé un bono seguro, o sea, asegurado con dinero por $5,000. Eso es $3,000 por el cargo de DUI o manejar bajo la influencia de alcohol, $1,000 por no tener una licencia de conducir y otros $1,000 por cambiar de línea, de carril, desordenadamente o erráticamente.
The conditions are no driving, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons, and no new violations of Georgia law.
Right.
Las condiciones de la fianza es que no puede conducir, que no puede usar drogas ni alcohol, y que no puede tener armas ni usar armas.
Your Honor, this occurred on August 22nd, 2022. Officer of the
I've read the warrant, so it appears that he didn't perform the field sobriety test, correct?
He did, Your Honor.
I thought he said he didn't do it.
He did.
Did not perform the walk and turn, the one leg stand.
Correct, but he performed the HGN, which was 6 out of 6 clues.
Yeah, those are the chemical ones. Okay, I'm talking about the field, like walk and turn.
No, Your Honor.
One leg stand, all that. Okay.
That's correct.
And he showed positive on the alpha sensor and
yeah, in a way.
I mean, I'm just reading off my notes, so you can tell me if I'm wrong.
Your Honor.
And I have read the part which led to the initial stop.
Yes, Your Honor. Madam Interpreter.
La conversación que estaba en este momento entre la juez y la fiscal era que no estaban leyendo que no tenía el... I'm sorry, was that, do you want me to interpret the entire conversation between Your Honor and Mr.
Just basically, I read the warrant and he didn't take the walk and turn and the one leg stand.
Okay. Lo que la juez dice es que ella ya leyó la orden y de su arresto y que no, la orden indica que no hizo usted la prueba de estar sobrio, la cual en ese momento es de caminar y de pararse en un pie que no pasó y no hizo esa prueba. Eso es lo que dice la orden de su arresto.
And he took this, he did not take the test because the officer didn't believe it to be in the defendant's best interest, according to the warrant.
Y de acuerdo a la orden de arresto, usted no hizo ese examen porque el agente que de la policía determinó que no era en su mejor interés.
All right. Next, Ms. Tortorella.
Yes, Your Honor. The state would like to be transparent with the court.
Yes.
The officer did read implied consent in English, but it was translated for the defendant in Spanish, and he agreed to take the state breath test. And the state breath test showed that it was a 0.031.
No.
Object, totally.
Miss Tortorella, that's an Alka-Seltzer test. That's a field sobriety test.
No,
That-
Your Honor, it was a state breath test.
He went and took it on the intoxilizer machine or through the field sobriety Alka-Seltzer device?
Intoxilizer machine, Your Honor. He was read implied consent. He agreed to the state breath test.
So he,
I believe Officer Knoll was the one that did it.
no, the, oh. All right, I. Look
It
at the
wasn't the-
second page of the warrant. I'm sorry, Madam Interpreter, there is a dispute as to the reading of the warrant, and you can tell him that.
Ahorita hay un desacuerdo entre lo que la fiscalía y la juez está leyendo en su orden de arresto. Entonces, espérenos un momentito.
Ms. Tortorella, the first line on the warrant says that Hernandez agreed to blow into Corporal Knoll's PBT, which is the field Alka-Seltzer device. And the number you just read off is from that device. And that
Your
is
Honor,
not admissible.
If I may read, it says on, if you could read from the line, it says, I read Hernandez implied consent and.
Right, and if you read the numbers doesn't show that it qualifies for it's not a 0.08.
I didn't say that.
Understood, but you read the numbers
Number from
and you.
the-
I'm so sorry, the numbers you read off, you're saying are from the state breathalyzer test, from the intoxilizer.
Correct.
That's the impression, and that's not that's not the correct reading of the warrant.
There were two readings.
Oh, my Lord. Miss Tortorella, I've read the warrant.
Okay,
Am I
and just
reading-
based on, and Your Honor, just based on that,
He's not under the age of 21, right?
no, just based on that, I just wanted to state that usually our recommendation is a lot higher, but just based on the totality of what occurred, we are asking for that $5,000 surety bond. He has 2 cycles. This is what we have as he has 2 cycles on his record. He wasn't supposed to be driving.
Well, that's why he's gonna expire no license. I totally agree with that. But let's go with the I am not going to allow a further reading of the warrant because I've already ruled that the numbers you just read off were incorrectly applied. So we're gonna leave it at that. Mr. Ford, what's your I'm sorry, Madam Interpreter?
Entonces, la fiscalía dijo que tenía 2 ciclos en su récord y que no estaba supuesto, para empezar, a estar manejando. Entonces, la juez ordenó que no se puede leer más de su orden de arresto. Y eso es todo para lo que expone la fiscalía. Ahora le toca al abogado defensor.
All right.
Go ahead, Mr. Ford.
Thank you. Your Honor, we're asking for a signature bond in this matter. My client has no violent past behavior or criminal record, as was stated by pretrial services. This is his first offense. Go ahead, Madam Interpreter. You can.
Lo que nosotros estamos pidiendo, lo que su abogado está pidiendo es un bono de fianza nada más con la firma, que no tiene un récord pasado violento, que es la primera ofensa.
He is presently employed as a cook at the Golden, I think, Harvest. He makes a substantial amount of monthly salary. He says he's a very good cook and would like to keep his job. He came to Georgia for the job.
Él tiene trabajo, es un cocinero, tiene empleo, trabaja para el Golden Harvest y que es un buen cocinero y gana bien y vino a Georgia por ese trabajo.
Yeah. He has been in Georgia for 2 months, Your Honor, and has a stable address and stable employment. With the fact that he has no prior history, I would ask that a signature bond be given at this time.
Él está aquí en Georgia por los últimos 2 meses, tiene un trabajo y una dirección estable, entonces por eso se pide a la señoría, a su señoría que le dé un bono con firma.
All right, Mr. Ford, just to clarify the record, and Ms. Tortorello, we're going to clean up this record. Yes, the warrant says he took a field sobriety, he took the alpha sensor test and he agreed to the straight breath administered test. The numerical value of the alpha sensor test is not admissible, although it did yield a positive result according to the warrant. The state breathalyzer test, which was allegedly administered by the officer, yielded a positive result at 0.031, which is far below the per se limit of 0.08. The officer is authorized to press a charge for driving under the influence less safe, but he is not authorized to press a charge for driving under the influence per se. Madam Interpreter?
Queremos limpiar el acta sobre la conversación que tuvieron entre su señoría y la fiscalía. Y dice que usted fue ofrecido y tomó un Alka-Seltzer, un examen de sobriedad y uno de su aliento, el cual fue administrado y que usted accedió a tomarlo. Sin embargo, los resultados de ese examen no son admisibles en el tribunal. El resultado fue que tenía un punto 031 cuando sopló, lo cual es menos del límite de 0.8. El agente de policía estaba autorizado a ponerle el cargo de manejar embriagado y ser menos seguro mientras lo hacía, pero no puede darle el otro cargo de manejar embriagado por sí.
The bond on the DUI less safe is $1,000 surety bond. The expired or no license is a $500 surety bond. And the driving erratic lane change is a $500 signature bond through the jail. The total bond is $2,000. It is a split bond. Next court date is September 6th. If he makes bond, we will mail him a notice of a new court date.
La orden de su señoría es un bono en total de $2,000. Escuche bien, de esos $2,000 son $1,000 por el cargo de manejar embriagado y ese bono tiene que ser asegurado. También el otro de $500 asegurado también es por la acusación de no tener licencia de conducir o manejar sin licencia de conducir. Y de ahí por el cambio de líneas de carriles, el bono ese sí es solamente con firma y esos son $500. Tiene que regresar al tribunal. La siguiente fecha de su corte es el septiembre 6. Y eso se le enviará por correo también si es que sale de la cárcel.
No driving unless he has a valid driver's license, adequate insurance, and proper registration.
No, por orden de la juez, no puede manejar a menos que tenga una licencia de conducir válida, que tenga seguranza y que tenga una registración válida del vehículo.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
Y eso es todo, concluye este caso. Gracias.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Madam Interpreter, I think we are done.
Thank you, Your Honor. You have a good afternoon.
You too. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Courtroom 2, who do we have, please?
Yeah, this is number 1, Mr. Aim.
Okay. Mr. Francie Aim is case number 22 CR 0056488. Mr. Aim is accused of battery, domestic violence, and misdemeanor possession of marijuana from August 23rd, 2022. Mr. Aim, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is going to be Mr. Charles Ford. Any priors, Mr. Toussaint?
Third arrest. History come out of Philadelphia. Last arrest was 2020. Possessing instrument of crime. Simple assault, stalking, harassment, recklessly endangering. Those were all non-pros.
Okay.
Before that was 2017 out of Philly. Firearm carried without a license. Carrying firearms in Philadelphia, and DUI. Those were dismissed. So I defer to you with the recommendation.
Thank you. And a resident of Atlanta, of Georgia?
Yeah, it says, yeah, that's what, yeah.
Ms. Tortorella, what's the recommendation for Mr. Aim?
A $6,500 surety bond total, $6,000 for the battery family violence and surety, and for the marijuana charge, a $500 surety bond. The conditions is no contact with the victim, and her name is Nasira Lorenzano, and she's on the Zoom hearing. It's spelled Naasirah, and the last name is L as in log, O-R-E, N as in Nancy, Z as in zebra, A, N as in Nancy, O.
Okay.
For the defendant to stay away from 2375 North Circle Drive Northwest in Atlanta. 1 day anger management, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons, and no new violations of Georgia law. Your Honor, I understand that you've read the warrant. This occurred yesterday. The victim advised the officer that she and the defendant got into an argument. And she also advised the officer that the defendant used his hands and punched her multiple times, causing swelling to the left eye, left side of the face, and upper lip. The officer also observed a black eye on the victim. Both parties live at the incident location. And upon search incident to arrest, the officer did find two small baggies containing suspected marijuana. And all these events occurred in Fulton County, Georgia. Your Honor, we were able to speak to the victim. She advised us that she does want contact. However, she's unsure of whether she fears the defendant or if he will be violent with her again. And she did confirm her injuries with us. He has 2 cycles out of Pennsylvania. He has a 2020 simple assault and reckless endangering arrest. Aggravated assault was added by the DA, but this case was dismissed up in Philadelphia. A 2017 carrying weapon arrest out of Philadelphia as well. It was also no prost. Just given the circumstances, Your Honor, we are asking for that $6,500 surety bond. He poses a risk of reoffending, committing felonies while on bond, and he does pose a risk of intimidating the victim here, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Thank you. Mr. Ford, if you'd like to speak, or I don't know.
I would like to hear from the complaining witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Nasira Lorenzo, my name is Judge Law. If you would like to address the court, you may start your video, but you also have a right to remain silent if you choose to do so.
How are you doing?
Do you want to speak about the case?
No.
Okay, then you may mute your screen, please. Thank you. All right, Mr. Ford, let's proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. As been read into the record is that my client really has no offenses, Your Honor. Yes, we talk about cycles, but they're all dismissed. So he's a first-time offender. He's been recommended by pretrial services for unsecured judicial release. He's 27 years old. He has two 2-year degrees, one in nursing, but he's an entrepreneur, Your Honor. He he's a full-time entrepreneur where he has a cleaning business. He also has an online Amazon store, clothing company, a trucking. He's involved in trucking, and he has an Airbnb. He's moving his company from Pennsylvania to Georgia, but he's keeping some ties with that because of the employment. He has no children. However, he has a valid driver's license, Your Honor. He's looking forward to dealing with this particular issue. He has a stable address, telephone number, and email address. He's not a risk of flight, Your Honor, because he wants to be here in Georgia. And he did give me a number of a person here for community support. Your Honor, this is a case where we're talking a possession of marijuana and a battery case. The victim says that she does not, and I didn't understand what the ASG was saying, but she said she wants contact, but she threw in that she doesn't know if she fears any contact with my client. So at this point, Your Honor, I feel that a signature bond is what we are requesting and asking for at this time.
Possession of marijuana is 500. The battery is going to be 8,000. Total bond is going to be set at 8,500. That's going to be a signature bond through pretrial services. He can sign up for the bond, but he must comply with the following conditions. First of all, is no further contact with Miss Lorenzo, Nazira Lorenzo. He's to stay 200 yards away from her. He's not to communicate with her in any way, form, or manner. And he's not to communicate with her through a third party, through a computer device, also on social media. Apparently, he has some opposition to that. He is to stay away from 2375 North Circle Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. He's not permitted to return to that location. He may go back one time only. I see your arm up, sir. I will address you. He is not to return to that location. He may return one time only with a police officer to retrieve his personal belongings, but he's not allowed back at that location. If he shares any children, Ms. Tortorella, do you know if he shares any children with the alleged victim?
I'm not aware that they, no, they don't.
All right, then there's no third-party transfer of any child involved. No illegal drugs, no alcohol, and no weapons and no firearms. He will report to pretrial once a month, and he'll be subject to random screens for drugs, illegal drugs, which includes marijuana, as well as for alcohol. While he is, once he is released, he has 30 days to update the court with his new mailing address so that we may send him his new court date and notices for his new court date. And also while he's released, he will enroll and start domestic violence intervention program classes. It's a 6-month-long program. He will attend the weekly classes. He must start those classes within 60 days of being released, and he must provide pretrial with a certificate of completion. And that will be done at his expense.
Your Honor, in with all due respect.
Yes, sir.
The FVIP is normally when someone has been convicted of domestic violence.
Oh, is that what the statute says?
Well,
I believe when it's a domestic violence case, the court can allow for some kind of rehabilitative program, including DVIP.
My objection is because it's almost like my client is being sentenced before we've even dealt with the case. And so
I am basing this on the fact that he's got prior arrests, although not convictions, for a violent offense, a firearm offense, and given this fact that the warrant states that he punched her in the face multiple times, causing swelling to the left eye, a black eye, left side of the face, and the upper lip. And given this information, I'm going to order a DVIP. All right, Mr. Aim, we can unmute the screen. Yes, sir. What's your concern about no contact?
First of all, can I say to Mr. Aim, I would ask that you be silent at this point. The judge is giving you a signature bond. That means that you will be released today if you have nothing else holding you in. So I would be very careful about what you say at this point, but I'm recommending that you say nothing.
My only thing is I don't have nobody down here. I don't have nowhere to go. That address that you talked about, I pay all the bills there. So it's just like I understand what you're saying, but I don't know where I would go. Like, cause I live here. I don't have nobody down here. I live down here by myself.
Your Honor.
Yes, that's his home.
All right, Miss Lorenzo, if you've already chosen not to say anything, understood. Okay. Mr. Aim, unfortunately, you were the one charged and arrested with a domestic violence matter. And under the law, the court can order that you do not reside with the alleged victim until further order of the court. So you're going to have to take steps. As I've already been informed, you are a rather lucrative businessman with several fingers in different pies. So I'm sure you'll be able to figure out your housing situation. You're just under a court order to make sure that you let the court know of your new address within 30 days. And with regards to the house at North Circle Drive, on your one-time visit to retrieve your belongings, if the officer can, you can only do that with an officer present. And if the officer is able to verify that the victim, Ms. Lorenzo, no longer occupies the premises, then you may return to that lodging. But the court order is that you and Ms. Lorenzo cannot live under the same roof, and you are to stay 200 yards away from her. I hope that answers your question. Thank you.
I understand.
Good, thank you. All right, next case, I have a, okay, we've handled Priscilla. I have a Vizion Bethia.
Position 3, yes, Judge.
Okay. You just wanted me to say that name, right?
Yes, Judge, I'm sorry.
Thank you. That's all right. Mr. Bethia's case number is 22 CR 005668F. Mr. Bethia is charged with theft by taking and hindering a person from making an emergency phone call from August 23rd and August 24th of this year. Mr. Bethia, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Charles Ford. Mr. Howard, any priors?
First arrest, resident of Paoli, Pennsylvania.
All right, never heard of Paoli, but okay. Ms. Duncan?
Yes, Your Honor. This incident is alleged to have occurred on August 23rd, 2022 on 285 near the Roswell Road and Sandy Springs exit. In this case, according to the 911 operator, the victim in this case, Zachary Curtis, Z-A-C-H-A-R-I-E, Curtis.
Just hold, please, hold, please. Well, hello, stranger.
Hey, how you doing?
Fine, thank you. What's the question?
We only have one charge for him.
I think they added the accusation that there was one charge on the warrant and they added additional charge.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, Ms. Duncan, please proceed.
Yes, the victim in this case is Zachary Curtis, Z-A-C-H-A-R-I-E, Curtis, common spelling. In this incident, according to 911 operators, the victim in this case called 911 for help during a domestic dispute on 285. The 911 operator indicated that the victim in this case stopped answering 911 questions and the phone disconnected. When 911 tried to call the phone back, twice there was no answer, and then when 911 was able to make contact, however, they were greeted by the defendant in this case, stating to them that he had the victim's, in this case, phone and other personal belongings. It's indicated in the warrant that they are dating and were living together occasionally throughout their 6 months. However, we were able to make contact with the victim. Her version of the events differs slightly from what the 911 operator stated. And she doesn't want to press charges. However, the state here has a concern about intimidation of the witness, given the facts alleged in the warrant, as well as this defendant's ties to the community, as stated by pretrial. His residence is questionable. And we have a concern about the danger to this particular victim, given the situation at hand. We don't know exactly what was happening, but it was enough for this the victim to call 911. Given those facts and circumstances, we're asking for $1,000 total surety bond. That's $500 surety per charge. No further contact with the victim in this case. 1 day anger awareness, no alcohol, drugs, and weapons, and no further violations of Georgia law. Nothing further from the state.
All right, thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client is 23 years old, has a associate's degree in business. He's looking for employment. Your Honor, I think the facts of this case, Your Honor, and before I get started, I think the complaining witness is on the line. And
I
And
know,
I would-
I'm just wondering what's your bond amount that you're going for?
Oh, signature, Your Honor.
All right. On the hindering a person from making an emergency phone call, that's going to be a 1,500. That's going to be a signature bond through pretrial. The theft by taking is 500, signature bond through pretrial. That's a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services. No further violent contact with Miss Curtis. Did you want contact with Bethia?
Yes, ma'am.
All
Can
right, then be quiet.
Okay.
There'll be no further violent contact between Vizion, Bethia, and Miss Zakaria Curtis. That means that Mr. Bethia, you cannot engage in any physical or verbal altercations with Miss Curtis. If you do, you'll be brought back to jail and your $2,000 signature bond will be converted to what we call a surety bond or a cash bond. You will report to pretrial every month and you're not to consume any illegal drugs, no alcohol, and not possess any weapons or firearms. Presumably, hopefully, the phone would have been returned to Ms. Curtis, so hopefully that isn't an issue anymore. Your next court date will be sent to you at your current address. Make sure that you update us with your current mailing address at all times. That concludes this case. Thank you.
You know that's per judge, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
And Your Honor, just to perfect the record, what was taken was wallet, keys, and phone.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully Ms. Curtis will be able to get them in an amicable and polite way. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Day John Mitchell Cogdill. Did I say that name correctly? I'm you can nod your head too. That's the one. Okay.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. Your case number is 22 CR 005-657Y. You've been accused of battery, domestic violence, and simple battery, domestic violence from August 23rd, 2022. Mr. Cogdill, you've been advised of your right to remain silent, and your attorney is Mr. Charles Ford. Mr. Tucson, any priors?
It's his fourth arrest.
Any convictions?
Yeah. So the 2020 arrest out of Florida for robbery. Let's see. Charges were dropped in that case.
No
out of 20. No conviction for that one. 2019 out of New York. Says possession of stolen property, grand larceny. The petty larceny was a conviction. And a 2020 arrest out of South Carolina. Unlawful carry of a weapon. That's it.
All right. Ms. Tortorella?
Yes, Your Honor, for the battery family violence, a $3,000 surety. For the simple battery family violence, a $2,000 surety. That will be a total of $5,000 surety bond. Conditions is no contact with the victim, and her name is Egretta Stone. The first name is Egreta. The last name is traditional spelling Stone. Stay away from 780 Blue Sparrow Drive. The address is BLEU and Sparrow like the bird Drive in Atlanta. 1-day anger management, one-time escort, no drugs or alcohol, no weapons, and no new violations of Georgia law. Your Honor, in this case, it occurred yesterday, August 23rd. The victim and the defendant got into an argument about going to a doctor's appointment. And that argument became physical. The defendant pulled a ring out of the victim's finger, which caused scratches. And he also pushed her to the floor and placed his hands around her neck. The victim stated she did feel some pressure. And these events did occur on in Fulton County, Georgia. Your Honor, this defendant has one cycle out of South Carolina and then one cycle out of New York as well. He was arrested for robbery just last year, January 29th, 2021, out of Miami-Dade County, which was dismissed. I apologize. Yeah, he also has one cycle out of Florida. And then in 2020, he was arrested for unlawful carrying of a weapon out of Sumter, South Carolina. And Your Honor, the victim does not want any contact. They do not live together. They are expecting a child. And I'm reading my victim notes, Your Honor.
Well, I noticed that she is expecting, but y'all added a charge for battery, but not against a pregnant individual.
They're both aggravated, Your Honor. So battery, family violence. I don't know if it's a higher degree for a pregnant versus a member that they used to live together as well.
Okay.
So that was my reasoning. And then the simple battery was for the pushing, throwing her to the ground and placing his hands around her neck.
All right. Thank you. Mr. Ford?
Thank you, Your Honor. Your Honor, my client's 21 years of age. He's a high school graduate. He also has 2 years of college at Buffalo State College. He's in CDL school right now, and he owns his own business, Better Left Than Said. It's a clothing business, and he also does Instacart. Your Honor, my client, as you will, has been noted by pretrial services, does not have a criminal history. And at this point, Your Honor, he lives here in Georgia. There's no contact. The complaining witness and my client are not in contact with each other, Your Honor. So at this point, we're asking for a signature bond on both charges at this point, because my client is not a threat to society, and he is here in Georgia with his own business, and so he's not going anywhere. And at this point, Your Honor, we're thinking a signature bond based on his lack of criminal history is appropriate.
On the battery, family violence, that's the additional charge that's been asserted by the state based on the allegations set forth on the warrant. That's going to be a $2,000 signature bond through pretrial services. The simple battery domestic violence, that's going to be a $1,500 surety bond. Total bond is set at $3,500. It is a split bond. No further contact with Miss Greta Stone. He is to stay away from 7870 Blue Sparrow, that's one word, Drive in Atlanta, Georgia. He may return one time only with a police officer to remove his belongings, but he's not allowed back at that location. No alcohol, no drugs, no weapons, and his next court date is September 6th.
Your Honor, just
Yes,
in clarification, I believe the solicitor mentioned this as well, they do not live together. And my client stays at the 7870.
That's not the information. Miss Tortorella, can you confirm that she does not live there?
I'll look at my notes, Your Honor. He was actually there for a moment. They've lived together in the past, and then he was living with her temporarily because he was in some sort of transition process. It's on the warrant.
I understand, but the Blue Sparrow Drive, is that her location or his?
That's her location.
Well, then we have a dispute as to who occupies that property. Mr. Ford, if you find out that she lives at a different location, I'll be glad to amend the bond order.
Okay, well, Your Honor, could we ask that once he does the one time, goes back one time and it's evident to the officer she doesn't live there, he could stay, am I correct?
Well, we could do that, yeah.
No objection.
All right, so Ms. Holly will amend it to say that on his one-time visit with an officer, if the officer verifies that Mr. Greta Stone does not live there, then he may return to the premises.
Got it.
All right, that concludes this case. Thank you.
And that's perjurious.
All right, sir.
So-
But it's a split bond.
Your Honor,
It's a
I just
split
got, I'm sorry, I just got word from our victim advocate that the incident location is the victim's home, but I understand your ruling has already been made, Your Honor, but just to put that on the.
That's fine. If it's her home, then just make sure that she occupies it so that the officer would know that and he cannot return there. All right, thank you. All right, courtroom 2, do we have anyone else?
No, Judge, we're done for today.
All right, hallelujah.
I got a question.
See you tomorrow. Thank you, courtroom 2.
Judge.
Yes, Mr. Tucson, what's the question?
So I can just rip up this add-on sheet with long on it?
Yeah, the case has been transferred to Superior Court.
Okay.
All right.
May I be excused, please?
Yes, sir. You have a great day. Thank you. All right, attorneys, just going over the calendar, the add-on calendar, the add-on position long has been transferred to Superior Court. Position 1, Amy, is a 8,500 signature bond through pretrial. Yeah. Position 2 is a $4,000 surety, further notice to September 6th. Position 3, Bethia, is a $2,000 signature bond.
Judge,
Yeah,
excuse me. You said it was a surety bond?
for
For
position 2.
Number 2.
Yeah.
So it should go to the SAP. You say further notice.
Oh,
Well,
sorry.
Take that back.
Yeah,
Going to the SAP calendar.
SAP
Okay.
September 6th, correct, yes.
Absolutely.
Position
Okay.
3 is a surety bond, is 2,000 for the notice. Position
Yeah.
4, Clevenger,
Yeah.
is a 50.
Your Honor, I
Yeah.
have 1,500 signature, 500 signature and a 2,000 surety, I
That's
thought.
the total.
Let
That's
me
correct,
repeat.
but it's
Okay, go ahead.
Bethia is 1,500 on hindering a person from making a phone call, and theft by taking is 500. They're both signature bond through pretrial.
Okay,
So
I
it's a
thought you
total
said
of
surety,
2,000.
that's what.
She did, but
Did
the
I
other
say
one-
surety? I'm sorry. I meant
Yeah,
signature
it's
bond
been a
through
long
pretrial.
day. It's been a long day.
Well,
Okay, I
as
just
long
wanted to
as
make sure,
yesterday.
Your Honor, but I treaded lightly, you see, I treaded lightly.
He's tiptoeing through the tulips on this one. Okay. Position 4, Clevenger, is a $1,500 split bond, 1,000 surety and 500 signature bond through the jail. Reset to September 6 SAP. Position 5, Cogdill, is a $2,000 signature bond on the battery, a 1,500 surety on the simple battery. Is a 3,500 split. Reset September 6. Position 6, a Sugby, is a 2,500 surety, reset to September 6th, to be evaluated. Position 7 is Henderson, 2,500 signature bond through pretrial, further notice. 8, Hernandez, is a $2,000 split bond, reset September 6th. Position 9 is a $9,000 signature bond through pretrial, further notice. Position 10, Milam, is a 3,500 surety, reset September 6th. 11, Murray, is a 2,500 surety, reset September 6th. Position 13, Palacios, is a $7,000 split bond.
12.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me, 12. It's a $7,000 split bond, September 6th. Position 13, Price, is a 1,500 surety bond, reset September 6th. 14, Salem, is a $1,000 signature bond through the jail, for the notice. 15, Stafford's a $1,000 surety, September 6th. 16, Taylor is a $1,000 surety, September 6th. 17, Tolbert is a $7,000 signature bond through pretrial, for the notice. 18, Trout is a $1,000 surety, September 6th. 19, Williams is a 7,000 split, September 6th. And position 20 is a 2,500 surety bond, September 6th.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. Could
Which
you
one?
restate the designations for position 19? When you said them kind of fast. I was trying to write. And I
No
didn't get all of
problem.
them.
Position 19, Williams. Did you want the breakdown or just my announcement?
Just the breakdown per charge, please.
Okay. The DUI under the influence of drugs was 3,000 signature bond through the jail. Possession of marijuana was 500 signature bond through the jail. Driving erratic lane change is 500 surety. Driving possession of open alcohol containers $1,000 surety. And DUI under the influence of alcohol and drugs is 2,000 surety. Totals a $7,000 split.
Your Honor, the position number 6, actually, mental health court says that they do accept, even though it is domestic violence, if the relationship is not intimate partners, but parent and child, they can take it to mental health court, Your Honor.
All right, well, let's see if you can get them into there because that
Okay.
would be a best track for her.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions about the bonds or the disposition of the cases so far? No? All right, folks, thank you for an exciting afternoon. We will see you tomorrow. Some of
Thank
you
you.
at SAP and the others at the C. And Miss Allen, I'll send the transfer order directly to Miss Holly. Okay?
Thank you.
All right, everyone, have a good
you.
afternoon.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Have a good
All right,
afternoon.
thank
Bye-bye.
you. Bye.